Hello, our friends, Evolutionary Energy Arts family.
Hello there, welcome back.
That's just sassy breakdancing in the background. And if you hear any chomping, I don't know what seed it has.
I don't know. She's usually chomping, though, on something.
Or somebody. Yeah. Anyway, could be an alien sneaking in the back door. We want to thank everybody for their support on Patreon, as always. We get a little bit of a break. Has everybody noticed how crazy the Schumann's been for days? And yeah, it really feels like there's so much going on energetically, like download and upload and download and upload. And I do think that sometimes we talk about downloads, like receiving downloads from above, the higher densities, but we don't really maybe recognize that we upload information back to the higher selves.
Yeah, I mean, it's the Schumann's been very bipolar and manic, and I think people are mimicking that sometimes.
There's a lot of reasons. Some are natural, some are not. You know, again, it's so fascinating. Chances are that 99% of the viewers that are going to watch this have watched maybe hundreds of our videos. Because, you know, again, we'll be kind of ostracized and put over in a small box. Some of it's our own doing because, you know, we just got to say what we feel and what we know and share things that the system doesn't want being shared. And so for you guys that have been following us and are of the same mindset, this is all not really that it's not a big deal. It is a big deal for humanity to be understanding what's happening, but it doesn't surprise us in the least. It doesn't really blow our minds. In fact, yeah, you know, there's so much that out there could be CGI, but that's not the point. The point's not one video, whether the one video is CGI or not. There is the reality that ultra-terrestrial ships make clouds as cover. That is real. That happens. Whether this video is you know, just CGI or if it is the real deal. That's the point. Sharing this. Like I just was looking at a survey. Is everything that's going on just a big psyop, or are ultra-terrestrials real? And, you know, unfortunately, most people thought it was a psyop. Well, I guess that's good, because I do think it is a psyop what's going on to a degree. There is a psyop side of it. Yet, extraterrestrials are real. Ultra-terrestrials, interdimensional beings, they're very real. They've always been here. You know, and so many of us, we know all this. It's not like we need anybody to convince us or we're going to change our mind to the other side. We know. There's a difference between knowing and, you know, weighing evidence, believing even in something in a faith-based way. Well, I have no real evidence, only what people have told me, and I'm going to choose into believing something. You know, that's different than when you have direct experiences yourself, time after time after time, and you have this deep knowing from within that we're not alone. This reminds me of that famous Van Gogh painting. Of course, it's just all in black and white. And when we're just looking at the extraterrestrial ship, you know, creating this cloud cover to cover itself. This is Mr. MBB, by the way. He says the sky looked alive over Nebraska, clouds swirling like something was moving through them. A lot of things are moving through them. There's elemental beings, which are forces of nature. Their consciousness is not much different than ours, really, when you get down to it. They're up in the clouds all the time. And again, Cindy and I and many of you can see them and do see them and interact with them on a regular basis.
Well, I like it because it shows where Van Gogh got his inspiration.
Yeah. So here you go, man. It's just waking up the rest of the world to what you guys and we have known forever. Scientists find evidence of alien DNA in humans. Wait a minute. Next thing you know, everybody's going to be saying, hey, Grok. Hey, chat. Is this true? Let's look at Brave's version. Let's see. Dr. Max Rempel, a scientist with a PhD in molecular biology from the Institute of Genetic Biology in Moscow, claims to have found preliminary evidence of alien genetic manipulation in human DNA through his analysis of 1,000 Genomes Project. He identified 11 families, 2%, Out of 581 complete families where children carried large DNA fragments that did not match either parent, including a case with 348 non-parental genetic variations and a precise 16 kb substitution on both homologous chromosomes of chromosomes. Rempel argues that these anomalies, particularly in children born before 1990, ooh, that's curious, isn't it? Cannot be explained by known biological mechanisms or human gene editing technologies like CRISPR, which were not available at that time. He suggests that the findings may indicate extraterrestrial genetic modification, and he is seeking funding and access to high-resolution sequencing data from self-reported alien abductees to confirm his hypothesis. Hello, where have you been all these years? Have you not read the Sumerian scrolls, the Sumerian tablets? Have you not read not just that, but stories from all over the world, all the ancient myths, in case you missed it? The Greek and Roman gods, they tend to like human females and cohabitated with them. It just boggles the mind. But let's go back to this a second. So this is really, really interesting. And part of the bigger purpose of things like 23andMe, Ancestry.com, in my mind, is to keep track of exactly who, with what alien heritage and what potential abilities, is where. And it's really all about, the ETs, the Ultraterrestrials, keeping a really accurate data set on planet Earth. That's what's been going on. When we look to AI, is AI evil? Well, again, any AI that the government's giving us is AI that's been controlling our government in the first place. And other people recognize this. Many channelers and many UFO abductees and people inside government agencies have even talked about the fact that, the ultimate baddies in all this, the Draco and those Anunnaki that came here and created a slave race out of what was already here. Genetic manipulation, fusing chromosomes, adding a little DNA, turning off a lot of DNA. Well, this is all coming out of the woodwork and all the stories that we see. Whether we're talking modern abduction phenomena, they're always running DNA tests. They're always checking the DNA. They're also looking for things like the level of toxicity in the human body. Maybe they're checking up on programs, again, like the things that happen with the clouds, which does seem that ever since the government shut down, it seems that at least out in the open, a lot of that, nasty chemdrilling has kind of backed off a little bit. I think they're doing it undercover.
Or at nighttime. Yeah.
Yes, both. But right here you go. So, the AI that they've given to us is ultimately just a tiny little bit of the AI that literally has controlled beings like the Draco and the fallen Anunnaki for, gosh knows, eons, thousands of years, tens of thousands, millions of years, I don't know, a long time. Again, when you look to the Matrix, yes, absolutely. There's a lot of it that is like a documentary. When you look to, a lot of our other, movies and series like Star Wars and Star Trek, so much of it has been already given to us so that, most people, I think, will be able to handle the news when it comes out, and we realize that we've never been alone, and they start to introduce you to certain beings.
Yeah, I think, they've been slow and steady, definitely steady, building up the information to say, we're not alone, but, how much longer before it's just constant headline news? I don't know, maybe not too much longer because they are playing the last card.
So Rempel cautioned that his findings are preliminary. They require more rigorous analysis. No conclusive evidence yet, he says, because we need better data sets, which are available only on approval, takes time and effort, and of course money and funding. Nevertheless, he believes the implications could be staggering. Humanity may be undergoing genetic transformation. Yes, as we speak. Well, wait a minute, wasn't there just something that was given to the majority of the population on planet Earth that actually is all about writing and encoding and rewriting RNA? Yeah, again, yeah, I agree. Yeah, we are under genetic transformation. And I think there's two different things primarily that are happening. There's this obvious intervention of a technological kind by these ETs that seem to want to view us as slaves and control us. Yes, perhaps, as he also says, talking about maybe making hybrids. Yes, the better worker bee that will not rebel. And ultimately, it'd be very, very nice to merge that technology and have an automatic overdrive or override in everybody's, noggin. That's where Elon comes in, right? So, this is just obvious to me. Yet again, there's another type of DNA revision that's going on, and it's of the natural type. That's the type that's being blessed on us by Source and by the real creator of this universe. Because, there is intelligent design here. This is just not a random series of events that brings about life like we have in this variety. In fact, again, our planet was terraformed. That's just the reality of it. And it was actually terraformed after reclaiming the largest part of another world, Tiamat, which we have some legends about, which was destroyed in that interdimensional, intergalactic war. So, here we are, and we are on this third rock from the sun. Again, there's many other rocks from the sun than we're aware of. We have gotten in our channeled information 39 different planets in the solar system. So there's a lot of disclosure to go. And yes, you've never actually looked up at the sky and seen reality, as Project Bluebeam has always been in place. But this is just a little bit of, they got to, stuff is coming out. They got to control the narrative. How do you control the narrative? It's just like the kid that steals the car and crashes it, has a big house party when the parents are away. You got to start easing in, letting the parents know, Mom, Dad, there's been a little issue. Yeah, it was with the car, You got to let them know a little bit so, they can handle it, but hopefully a little bit better when it comes out in dribs and drabs. And that's exactly what we have going on right now.
Yeah, I think they're working on the softening the shock value.
Because, again, they want to utilize it and twist it so they keep us going in their control sequence. But Source, again, is, and the creator of this universe, through all the energy that's coming in, again, we go back to that Schumann resonance. There's a lot going on. The consciousness of the planet, your physical mother that we are all birthed from, because we are birthed from the very earth itself, the physical vehicle that we occupy, because it is just a vehicle. It's an avatar. And again, they've given us the movie's Avatar to let you know consciousness can move from one vehicle to another.
Indeed.
Yeah, and then they may offer some sort of robotic or some sort of hybrid body to transfer your consciousness in. Of course, with the system, that would be just so they could have it under their control for eons.
Oh, they like that control thing.
That it's all about control and ego with them. But, when we look at this, and this is somebody with a PhD, again, somebody that has been brought up through the system. When you look to the amount of abductees, now I've seen, different researchers come up with different numbers, but in reality, I think there's way more people that are taken in either the physical or in the energy body and worked on and manipulated way more than they would realize. I think this is actually a fairly common thing that's going on.
I think so too.
Meanwhile, this is a beautiful photo. Thank you, Andrew McCarthy. He's exploring the universe from a backyard telescope in Arizona. Arizona is great for that, as is New Mexico. So this one is Comet Lemon. And look at that. It's gorgeous. It's a thing of beauty. So, Cindy was just saying, what's this? Like, these might be stars behind the gas, that you see this trail. But it also kind of feels like there might be an entourage. Maybe there is an entourage. We've heard with the other famous comet that's coming this way, that we're going to look at in a moment, that there's actually other ships with it.
Well, yeah, looking at that, and it just looks like there's something there. And then, think about even just semi-trucks. I mean, people tag along behind those so that they can catch that wind. I mean, you just never know how many tag-alongs there might be. It does look a little bit different in the tail.
It makes me think about how we can watch like time-lapse photography and you'll see things going by the sky, all the time. When you have a beautiful view like you get out there in Death Valley at night, oh my gosh, you see things, you see what you can deduce is probably satellites, and planes, of course. But then there's these things that just feel like they're more than a shooting star. How many people have wished upon a shooting star, but in reality, they've wished upon an alien spacecraft?
I know. Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. Look at this. This is an image of 3i Atlas by the Mars Perseverance rover, enlarged and color enhanced. So you could see this green coma around its cylindrical surface. Now, some have said, oh, it's not really cylindrical. It's just because it's moving and they're taking so many photographs in sequence. It's not really cylindrical. Well, wasn't Oumuamua cylindrical? Aren't most of, a lot of, unfortunately, the reptilian craft are cylindrical. But we don't get that this one does not feel reptilian. Now, this coma, this energy around it, caused by gaseous nickel compounds. That's what they say. Nickel is used to coat spacecraft components like fuel tanks, rocket engines, or structural elements to provide durability and corrosion resistance. Now that, I'm sure that's just coinky-dink. Nothing but a coincidence, right?
Nothing. Yep. It's all the same story.
Here's another view. This one, it doesn't look green, it looks white. And here's one against a background. Again, when you see things like this, like if you look at the ether that we see on the screen of a television, when there's no signal, that type of thing, it reminds me of the ether. I think automatically of the very ether. And I know, like with Cindy and I, we both do see entities out there all the time in the ether. So here you go, time-lapse images. This is again from Mars Perseverance. And you see it go flying by. And in some of these, when you wait long enough, you'll see other things go flying by in a different trajectory. It's just fascinating. 68 kilometers a second is what they say the speed is. When you look back to so much of what the forefathers left us, the indigenous people all across the world, and you get these type of rock art, it's so easy to see that, wow, I wonder if they're saying a lot of people were congregating and looking up at this big cylindrical ship that came in the sky.
You gotta wonder. There's a lot of etchings in stone that are curious.
Oh, man, there is. We saw some really cool petroglyphs out in the southwest. Now, more people are bringing up the fact that China hasn't really given us any info on 3i Atlas. The Chinese silence on 3i Atlas is more concerning than NASA's shutdown. 3 days ago, 3i Atlas, the third confirmed interstellar object, made its closest approach to Mars, with 5 spacecraft positioned to capture unprecedented observations. And it lists them. As of October 6, 2025, because some of them are Chinese, we have 0 official images from any agency. NASA blames the government shutdown, happened October 1st. Coincidentally, Do you think it's a coincidence? What do you guys think? Oh, we have you can't come to agreement, guys. We got to shut down NASA when you have a very curious thing going by. Yeah, lots of coincidences. It's 48 hours before the flyby, the shutdown happened. ESA promised observations through October 7th, but has released nothing beyond we're still observing. But China's gone silent too. So why is there no Chinese press coverage, no official statements from any sort of scientific agencies in China? It is curious. It is very curious. Did you know that 1 or 2 Starlink satellites fall back to Earth every single day? Wow. Yeah, I guess Elon doesn't know what he's doing so well. Any chance that somebody might be shooting them down? I don't know.
Seems kind of weird, and if they're quiet, it makes you wonder if they're formulating what are they going to tell people? Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, it really does. It all makes you very curious. Most people's anxiety is actually parasites releasing neurotoxins. Raw garlic is God's anti-parasitic. Crush 2 cloves, wait 10 minutes, because this activates the allicin. Mix it with honey if you need, and empty stomach's key, because it will definitely start to take out the parasites. We use raw garlic. We make, again, clove water. We take about 25, 30 cloves, put them in, I'd say about, well, it basically it's enough to fill up a mason jar that we then end up, we let it simmer for about 30 minutes. Bring it to a boil, let it simmer for 30 minutes, and then we go ahead, refrigerate it. And we take 2 or 3 shots a day, typically, and that really is good at getting rid of the eggs.
You know, it's just sort of a constant thing you got to do.
Yeah, again, all the problems of this world seem to be parasitic in nature. Look at these photos. Our history. They were trying to communicate with us. What were they telling us? Could it be they were telling us, well, when we're alive, there were some really big people around here?
Very interesting stuff. Very curious what's out there.
Yeah, giants. Every single culture around the world. Every single culture around the world also talks about visitors from the stars. Here you go. This is a T-shaped pillar. This was found at Karahan Tepe. First of its kind found. Notice the face is actually carved as a T-shape itself. This is really interesting. You know, what's going on with Göbekli Tepe? You know, again, I don't think they want us to know exactly what our ancestors were trying to tell us. I think, again, a lot of the megalithic structures are pointing to, I think, the Younger Dryas events, and they're giving us markers and telling us when the alien invasion actually happened, because it's not in the future, it's in the past.
I know there's just too much information out there. It would be nice to know what they know.
Cindy and I have seen things like this in person, and you got to wonder, how the bleep did they get there? You know, I mean, there are some skilled rock climbers, but why would you put a place there? Why? What are you afraid of? You must be afraid of beings that are above you and below you. You know, no visible path leading up. What's really going on? This is, you know, all over the Southwest again. Right down the street from where we're living in New Mexico, there were, you know, sort of similar dwellings up off the ground. What's really fascinating is that we think that dinosaurs are completely misunderstood. And that when you look to Genesis, and Genesis 6 talks about giants, and it also talks about, it puts together in one statement that shouldn't be put together in one statement. Giants that are so horrible they're consuming humans, there wouldn't be any humans left. Also, then it talks about giants being mighty men of old, heroes of renown. Wait a minute, that sounds completely antithetical. It doesn't make any sense. It's because you're talking about different beings, all of them big, but different beings.
It's just a little bit, I don't know what, I don't know what to think. They're always contradicting. It's full of them.
Yeah, I mean, I again, my first time I read the Bible through cover to cover was at 11 years old. So that was almost 50 years ago. And, the reality is it's when you get out of the Bible that you start to find the answers through corroborating evidence from various cultures. And then you realize, wait a minute, they gave you one sentence that really should have been 2 pages of information. What the heck? Are the aliens here? Yeah, but this is a mantis. A mantis. Look at this guy. Wow. Mantid beings, I think they got a bad rap. I think there are some that are working with the Draconian Reptilian AI Alliance, but there are others that are helping and are working with the Galactic Federation. There's all different sorts of individuals, and so we should never really lump individuals together.
Nope, no more than us.
But, I mean, gosh, you want to talk about spectacular? Again, when you look at that face, oh, wow, you think, yes, they have landed. And they're kind of scary looking. Again, nature. Nature has a lot of clues. And you see the tiger here thinking better of trying to attack an elephant, especially this one. Looks pretty darn big. Yeah, absolutely. And then when we look to all these creatures on planet Earth, the reason why we have such diversity is because they were brought here from many different places. Even the bears know that. What do you think they talk about when they're in the creek?
That's pretty cool.
Silly humans are finally getting it.
Indeed.
Well, we thank you guys. Look forward to your comments. Much love and appreciation. You're welcome to come join us on Patreon. It does definitely support our work, trying to awaken as many as possible. If you need energy work, Vedic astrology, biofield tuning, spiritual coaching, life coaching in general, feel free to reach out. All the information for the sessions is on every single video. Just click the more info, the drop down button there. As always, source bless and namaste.
Namaste.